We already learned that there are two modes of reproduction, asexual mode and sexual mode of reproduction. In asexual mode of reproduction, only one individual is involved in reproduction, while in sexual mode of reproduction, both the sexes, that is males and females, are involved in reproduction. So in this lesson, we'll mainly focus on sexual mode of reproduction. By now, we know that reproduction causes variation. These variations are due to the errors in the DNA copying mechanism. Because of these variations, the progenies produced are slightly different from the parents. But the process of producing variations is very slow. So to speed up this process, an alternative can be that two individuals should combine and produce a progeny. Thus, more variations will be formed in the progeny, and moreover, these will be novel variations. And we know that when two individuals are involved in reproduction, this type of reproduction is known as sexual reproduction. But there is a problem in this kind of reproduction, as two individuals combine and form one individual. So, in the individual formed, there will be two copies of the DNA or two sets of chromosomes present. That will be the double of the chromosomes which is present in the parental types. Hence, to solve this problem, in multicellular organisms, there are specialized types of cells. These cells have half the number of chromosomes or half the number of DNA. And these cells are known as germ cells. So, the male germ cells are known as sperm and female germ cells are known as ovum. When these germ cells from two individuals combine during sexual reproduction, it results in the formation of a progeny with the exact number of chromosomes as the parents. Hence, sexual reproduction is important to speed up the process of variations and to have more chances of survival. Now let's start with sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Flowers are the reproductive organs in plants. Let's have a look on the parts of the flower. It has four parts: sepals, petals, stamens and carpels. Stamens and carpels are the reproductive parts of the plant. Stamens are the male reproductive parts, while carpels are the female reproductive parts. They contain germ cells. On the basis of the presence of reproductive parts in the flowers, flowers can be divided into two types: unisexual flowers and bisexual flowers. Unisexual flowers have either stamen or carpel in them. For example, papaya, watermelon, etc. While bisexual flowers have both stamens and carpels in them. For example, hibiscus, mustard, etc. Now let's study different parts of the flower one by one. First, sepals. These are green in color and these are used for protection of flowers inside the bud. Second, petals. These are of attractive colors. These are used to attract insects for pollination. Next, stamens. These are the male reproductive part of the plants. They consist of filament and anther. Filament is a slender-like structure which supports anther. Anther is present on the filament and it contains pollen grains. Pollen are yellow in color and these pollen grains form male gamete. Next, carpel. It is the female reproductive part of the plant. It consists of ovary, style and stigma. Ovary. Ovary is the swollen bottommost part of the carpel. It consists of ovules and each ovule consists of an egg which is known as female gamete. Next, style. Style is the elongated middle part in the carpel. It is used to connect ovary with the stigma. And next, stigma. Stigma is the uppermost sticky part of the carpel. It is used to stick pollen grains on it during pollination. Now, for fertilization, male gamete from pollen should fuse with female gamete in the ovule. And for this, pollen from stamen should be transferred to stigma. This transfer of pollen from stamen to stigma of the carpel is known as pollination. Pollination is of two types, self-pollination and cross-pollination. When pollen are transferred from stamen to stigma of the same flower, it is known as self-pollination. While when pollen are transferred from stamen of one flower to the stigma of another flower, it is known as cross-pollination. For such type of pollination, pollen are transferred to the other flowers with the help of many agents like wind, water, animals, etc. So now we know that for fertilization, male gamete from pollen should meet the female gamete in the ovule. And for that, pollen tube carrying the male germ cell or male gamete emerges out of the pollen and travels down throughout the style and reaches the ovule. In ovule, there are 7 cells, 3 at each corners and 1 in the center. This center cell is formed by the fusion of 2 cells. Now, one among these 3 cells in the corner is egg cell. So, the male gamete or the male germ cell which comes with the pollen tube fuses with this egg cell which is the female gamete. As a result of this fertilization, zygote is formed inside the ovule. Repeated divisions in the zygote form embryo, and this embryo is the future seed. It then develops a tough coat around it which is known as seed coat. This seed then germinates and forms a seedling which eventually forms a mature plant. The process by which a plant grows from a seed and forms a seedling is known as seed germination. Seedling consists of 2 parts, radicle and plumule. Radicle is the first part of the seedling that comes out in germination. It is the future root of the plant, while plumule is the future shoot of the plant. It bears leaves. The first embryonic leaves are called cotyledons, which are used for the storage of food. Let's have a quick glance at the lesson. We have studied that flowers are the reproductive parts of the plants. These flowers consist of 4 parts: sepals, petals, stamens and carpels. Out of these, stamens and carpels are the reproductive parts of the plants. Flowers having either stamen or carpel are called unisexual flowers, while flowers having both stamen and carpel are called bisexual flowers. Then we studied in brief about both stamens and carpels. Stamens are the male reproductive part of the flower, while carpels are the female reproductive parts of the flower. Next, we studied about pollination, which is the transfer of pollen from stamens to carpels. Last, we saw fertilization, which is the process of fusion of male and female gametes. And as a result of fertilization, zygote is formed, which forms embryo. This embryo is the future seed. And when the seed germinates, it gives rise to new plant.